has postponed the twins class on the Springfield Mile, so that's going to put the focus on American Flat Track Singles Division with the Springfield TT here from the Illinois State Fairgrounds. Let's go racing.
Flat track motorcycle racing. Just to recall what it was like in the beginning, let us take a quick look back at the turn of the century. It takes stout lads like them to go for this kind of competition. It's trials like this that have made the two-wheel little giant the tough piece of mechanism it is today. Take a look at this motorcycle.
Each of today's races draws large crowds from all over the country.
It's a revolution.
Testing and bettering, testing and perfecting. Right on, cowboy.
The wave of the future.
You got a good start anyway.
Yeah, and we'll see how hot I was the whole time.
Every chance I get to race, I enjoy it.
What will you do? How hard are you willing to go? Will you let fear win? Or will you rise
Big one for Jeremy.
and find victory?
Shayna Hexter takes the win.
It changes the way we look at racing.
With the focus on the singles class today from American Flat Track, we focus on Dalton Gauthier, your series points leader, and Mikey Rush, the Honda-supported rider who is in title contention as well. But when you go to a TT track, you have to watch Jesse Janisch, who's undefeated on these types of tracks this year, but also the motocrosser Ryan Sipes, who only races on the TT circuits and is always quick on them. Jason Wygant joined by Mr. Everything in a Race Car, AJ Allmendinger, as well as Kristen Beat. Let's look back at the season thus far. Let's get ready for our first main event of the season in American Flat Track. Oh, a huge crash! Jesse Janisch wins the Daytona TT in the singles class. Dalton Gauthier's comeback includes a victory now in Atlanta. Shayna Texter is making moves in a hurry. Checkered flag! Shayna Texter takes her first win of the season. We're focused in on Ryan Wells. Look at the emotion. Ryan Wells and Estenson Yamaha take the SoCal half mile. What a race. Here's a RUSS Systems of Dallas, Texas AFT singles class point standings. Gauthier in the lead, but you got to watch for Wells, who based on that win has moved to 5th. He was out of the top 10 early in the year.
Yeah, really looking at Dan Bromley, our champion. He's been quiet, quick, but never really contending for a victory. Third in points, needs a strong showing here.
Well, it's all going to change up as we go from the half mile to the TT track, and that means left and right hand turns and a jump. So it's going to be fun today.
A four-corner racetrack, going down the front straightaway here into turn one. A left-hander. It's not a hairpin, but it tightens up here on the exit to set up for this big tabletop jump down the back straightaway here. This is really where it gets technical. A tight right-hand hairpin. Got to get the bikes wound down here to set up for the next hairpin, this left-hander. Come out of this, you get a good exit into this long, sweeping left-hand-duration corner. The bikes are really struggling to get the power down on the exit, but you have to get a good drive because off this leads down the long front straightaway.
And that's one lap. Now we're going to go racing. We'll start with our heats. Mikey Rush will be one to watch on the number 15 Honda. You've had Wells, the winner, you saw, but also the ever-consistent Dan Bromley in the number 1. You mentioned him, AJ. He's been quiet. Maybe today is the day he starts reeling off wins. But this is just a heat race. It's just qualifying, but it's racing as well. They're battling for it. Starts are so critical in a TT, and it looks like Rush on the inside going to lead him in. Bromley lead him out side by side over the tabletop.
Mikey Rush keeps that bike low off the tabletop jump, leads into turn 2.
So it's Bromley now filing into second, and Wells on the Estenson Yamaha wide in that hairpin in 4th. Couple of riders down. Shayna Texter is one of them. Winner of the race earlier this year. in Texas, and she's got the Red Bull KTM way back, and that has been a struggle for her, even qualifying on the TTs.
Yes, Shannon Texter been frustrated early this season. So many TTs. She's worked so hard in the offseason, but hasn't really shown so far, struggling to make a main event.
And that's going to make it that much more difficult to stay up on top of the point standings. Now another rider down from third.
That's the 118. Nick McFadden goes down. Was in a transfer spot. That's going to be tough in 3 laps to make it back up.
And it gives the leaders a huge advantage. Mikey Rush and Dan Bromley now pulling away. You can see this again.
See here, somebody in deep into this hairpin, collects 1 bike, and we see Shayna Texter there setting up for the corner. No fault of her own, gets taken out, will not make it to the semis.
Meanwhile, Bromley putting serious heat on Rush right now. Great battle for the lead. Let's see if he can put that Red Bull KTM inside the Richie Morris Racing Honda. Can't quite get it done yet.
Mikey Rush on that Honda has been strong all year, but had a tough last event. Finished 11th, his worst finish of the season. He needs to come back strong tonight.
4th on the 2 TT events we've had so far this year. So he's been a podium contender, but hasn't put the Honda on it yet. Oh, and he's actually inching away just a little bit from Bromley. And occasionally you see that Estenson Yamaha 3rd place of Ryan Wells getting in the picture as well. So we'll see which direction it goes. Will Bromley catch Rush? Or the lap to go, can Wells make a race out of it?
Mikey Rush really strong coming out of that last corner, getting that Honda, getting the power down. Great shot off the corner, pulling it down the front straightaway here. Dan Bromley trying everything he can do to make a move on him.
Bromley still airing out that tabletop. So much lower over the jump as Rush. That's what allowed him to get the lead off the start, and he's held it all the way around. About a quarter of a lap to go here. Bromley's last chance. Drive off the corner, not enough. Mikey Rush takes the win in the first heat race over Bromley and Wells. The Australian Max Whale comes across in 4th on the green number 18. We'll give you the results here in a moment to show you who qualified top 10, move on to our semis. So Cameron Smith on the Richie Morris Racing Honda number 44, 7th. He's good. It's Kevin Walter who will end up just short ahead of McFadden, who you saw went down. Texter also not going to the semis. So now we move on to heat race number 2. Riders to watch: Jesse Janish, the master of the TTs as of late, and the 122 of Dalton Gauthier, your series points leader, lined up together on the inside in this one. Gauthier just moved there on the 122. I think he did, and has caused some confusion down on the line. That might be a false start. Neither he nor Janish even moved. Other riders have taken off.
We're still green right now.
Yeah.
Cole Zabala leading into turn 2 here. Oh, we see it there. The wheeling caution lights come out with Dalton Gauthier jumping the start there. He's probably going to have to move to the back of the field, and we're going to have to set this up and do it again.
Yeah, so if it is determined that he caused the jump start, he was the first rider to move there on the 122, he will be moved to the back of the grid. And then it's going to be a challenge to even qualify and get in that top 10. Let's look at it again.
Oh, you see there, just a little bit of a jump. He gets it stopped, but at that point, that is judged as a false start. So that's why the wheel and caution lights have come out. He will have to start at the back of the field. Got to get in the top 10. Starting 14th, he can be calm, make his way through the field, but getting through turn 1 is going to be critical.
And not just qualifying, he wants to get a good grid position in the semi and then through to the main. Again, this is your championship leader all the way on your left now, who's going to have to mount a... He just moved again!
Looked like there he almost, like the clutch started to release, or he just lost balance. He moved a little bit. We're going to have to see what the judge is going to be from there, but as we go right now, we're green. Jesse Janish leading into turn 2.
Yeah, no surprise. Janish so good in the TTs. He's won both of them so far this year, and he's out front now and trying to get away for the number 11 of Andrew Luker out of Concord, California. On the Kawasaki, Luker putting some pressure on right now. And then it's the 51 of Zabala, who had the lead on the first start, in 3rd. And we're going to have to watch Gauthier try to make up ground from the back, and the specter of maybe another penalty hanging over him at some point. But all he can do right now is race. Janish under fire, not able to get away from Luker.
Luker right now, a great chance here, following the best. Oh, we see a replay here. Dalton Gauthier, you see, just creep a little bit forward. It's like he lost balance right there, Jason. Had to stop, took back off. We're going to see what the judgment's going to be after this.
So he's got to work his way through traffic right now. Nothing else he can do, and then wait for a judgment maybe after the race to see how it turns out. Zabala right now on the 51 starting to put pressure on Luker for second. This might actually help your leader, Janish, try to pull away a bit.
You can see Jesse Janish right there. He's so good on these TTs, able to get that bike stopped, held tight in the middle of the corner, and get the drive off.
Totally different type of racing than we see at a lot of the American flat track facilities. Normally you have the dirt ovals. Here you have left and right turns and a jump. That's what makes it a TT, or Tourist Trophy event. And Janish, yeah, I just love the way he throws it in. The right-hander is pretty good, but this hairpin coming up after this left-hander really hugs it tight on the inside. And Luker, even if he's close, is not able to get a wheel in on him.
It's a great opportunity right now for Andrew Luker to see what Jesse Janish, the best in the business, is doing. See if he can find any hints and details to pick up a little bit of speed.
Now I want to detail the comeback attempt by Gauthier after that jump start. If he has a penalty, it could potentially be a 10-second time penalty. So he needs to make it into the top 10 to qualify. And then if he does get the 10-second penalty, hope that the 10 seconds doesn't push him back out of the top 10. And bad news for him, in Heat 1, there are only 10 seconds between the first 10 riders. It could potentially be 9 to 10 spots when they're so tight in a race like this. So there it is, checkered flag is out. Janish, no surprise, takes the win. Great comeback attempt by Gauthier. Did I see him come across the line in about 4th? Amazing ride from the back, but how much will the penalty cost him? Luker's happy. Solid run for him in second. But now we focus on the points leader. There is Dalton, and you know he's more curious than anyone how this will turn out. Will he make the main event? Okay, here's the first start. Yes, and it will be a 10-second penalty for jumping twice. Here's the second time. He was already pushed to the back of the grid after the first start, and that movement right there makes all the difference. 10 seconds is huge on a track like this.
Yeah, in a 5-lap period, you're not going to make up 10 seconds, and huge disappointment for Dalton Gauthier, but for all the other riders in the championship right now, it has just opened their eyes knowing that they have a great opportunity to make up huge points.
Yeah, because we're about to make it official right now. There it is. Gauthier ends up 14th. He will not make the main event tonight. Let's hear it from his crew chief.
Dalton got hit with a jump start penalty, which for a 28-second lap time equals 10-second penalty, which is asinine. Yeah, you know, if you jump start, you should get a penalty. The problem is the punishment doesn't fit the crime, so that 10 seconds right there just basically probably ruined our season after we worked so hard. You know, he gained 0 positions. He stopped before he went again, so the clutch slipped. He went forward. He stopped, regrouped. They threw the green. They let the whole race run, and then at the end, they tell us a 10-second penalty. I mean, the rule books are rule books. I respect the AFT staff here. I respect the decision, even though I don't like it. I'm pretty pissed off, but we're going to come back more pissed off and fighting harder than ever.
Well, Dalton is obviously upset. He politely declined an interview. Now, in some circumstances, there is a provisional start to get into the main event, but he is also not eligible for that. But there's a long season to go. He can make up some ground. Let's talk to American Flat Track's Michael Locke.
On the original start of the heat race, Dalton was on the front row of the grid and jumped the start. So they called a halt straight away, and he went back to the penalty line for the second start of the race, and he jumped that too. For a jump start, a second jump start in heat race, you attract a time penalty of 10 seconds, and the 10 seconds in this case was an effective disqualification. It prevented him going forward to the semi. We have a system called the provisional start system, whereby each rider can, once in a season, basically use a get-out-of-jail-free card to get through a heat or to get through a semi. Unfortunately, and this is written in the rule book, you only are eligible for a provisional start card if you raced the previous season. And Dalton took a season out last year, so has no form from last year coming into 2019, so therefore is not eligible for a provisional start. It's really unfortunate. He's a fan favorite, he's a championship contender, we know all that, but the rule book is the rule book.
So a huge shakeup. Your points leader is out. How will that affect the battle for tonight's win and, of course, the championship? There's Steve Moorhead, one of the all-time greats, now the race director for American Flat Track, explaining that to Rob McClendon, his crew chief. It is going to be wide open now due to the drama in qualifying. Stay with us from Springfield. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys. If you go down, call Russ Brown. By Roof Systems of Dallas, Texas, the entitlement sponsor of AFT Singles. And by Cat Rental Store, the official heavy equipment supplier of American Flat Track. We continue to roll through qualifying in what has already turned out to be a dramatic evening at the Springfield TT at the Illinois State Fairgrounds. It's all about the Roof Systems of Dallas, Texas singles class today. And we had a crash in heat race number 3 early. Jake Lewis goes for a big ride here. A couple other riders tangle with him, including Kos and Brandon Kitchen. These guys were able to get back up. Man, I feel like Lewis, the road racer, has this happen too often. He's always fast in the TTs, but set by some bad luck.
Chad Kos goes down hard as well. Fortunately enough, he could get back up, restart this heat race.
Now, Ryan Sipes is one to watch in these TTs. He won one of them last year. This is a man who does all sorts of motorcycle racing, supercross, motocross, off-road, and the old supercross jump skills come in handy here on the 264.
Ryan Sipes would get out to the early lead in this heat race, would really never look back. Ferran Cardus kept them honest, but never really challenged him.
That's the Spaniard in second, who's very quick in this series. And then another crash for Kos, who, remember, was down on that start earlier, but he picks it up quickly, still in the qualifying spot.
Tough heat race, but name of the game is make it to the semis. He does that.
And Sipes does it the easy way by pulling away and taking the victory over Cardus. Ben Lau would roll to the number 3 spot, and you see the results there. Kos, despite all the crashes, 7th. So Sipes a favorite for sure, and earlier today, Kristen caught up with him.
Ryan Sipes has secured his first heat win of the 2019 American Flat Track season. Now, Ryan, this also is the first track that we'll return to that you raced on in 2018. What have you kind of noticed about the track changing tonight and throughout the racing today?
Yeah, it's really similar to last year. The first sets of practices were just, I mean, this place is awesome. It's so much fun, and the dirt's really good. Here in a little while, once the sun goes down, I think it's going to all kind of mesh together. I think it's going to be really good for the main, but still going to have the spots that you got to kind of watch out for.
Something you told me earlier in the day, you were riding with JD Beach all this week, kind of getting some tips from him, and something he told you was on exit from the corners to ease into your accelerating. Was that something that you took into note during that race?
Yeah, you have to out there. It's so slick. It's tricky, so I'm definitely easing onto it. Being a little bit lighter on the front brake. Just things like that, and trying to find the best line in the corner. I got a little bit of a gap in that one, so I could search a little bit and try to figure out the best line, because, you know, I might need some other lines in the semi, so hopefully it'll be good.
So now we move into our semis as we continue to narrow the field down to tonight's main event. So Sipes on the line, also the 15 of Rush, 2 front runners, and the 94 of Wells on the Yamaha there. Also, card is sideways. Let's go racing in semi number 1. Battling into the first turn. I thought that outside line might work for Wells. He's going to try it. Sipes, though, on the inside, able to maintain it. Wells over the jump there, wheel to wheel.
Chad Kos there off the side of the jump. Ryan Sipes leads into turn 2. Mikey Rush up into second.
I don't know how Rush was able to make that happen. I thought it was a battle between Wells and Sipes. Now it's Rush into the number 2 spot. This should be a good showdown. Rush is quick on the TTs. Sipes, a front runner pretty much every time he shows up for one of these races. Let's see if the number 15 can keep Sipes in sight. And the number 20, Ben Lau, who is strong in his heat race, finishing 3rd, also in contention. Rush is giving Sipes a challenge here.
Mikey Rush been so close this year to getting a victory. Won everything he can do to try to figure out where Ryan Sipes is so strong here. We see in the last corner, Ryan Sipes gets that bike turn. Great shot off the corner down the front straightaway.
And Andrew Luker on the number 11 in contention in 4th place as well. You love to see the different manufacturers of a KTM, a Honda, a Yamaha, a Kawasaki, all battling in the top 4 right now. And they all have different areas on the track. They're quick. Luker is all over Wells right now for 3rd, driving it in deep.
Luker very strong on the brakes, trying everything he can do, find a way around Ryan Wells.
Sipes starting to draw away just a little bit, and the lead will continue to follow Luker, who's trying to make up ground on Wells. Then you have the 49 of Coase. That bike is white, but it is a Honda, trying to work it around the outside now. So now it's Coase going after Luker for 4th. Wells has pulled away a bit. How about Sipes, man? You don't see him for a couple of weeks. He doesn't race the ovals. He only does TTs. He raced a Supercross in Hawaii. He won that. Now he's back trying to win this semi. Incredible versatility. These guys are not impressed by any of that. They just want to beat him for this semi win.
We see a battle here.
Oh, Coase. Oh, you saw it developing, and it happened. Coase makes the pass.
Chad Coase gets a great drive off the last corner. Bottoms out a little bit over that jump, but still able to hold on for 4th. Andrew Luker still trying to get back around him.
Good action here for the number 4 spot. Coase, who had not 1 but 2 crashes in his heat race, was able to persevere, get through the adversity. It's critical now because your grid position in the main event will be determined by your finishing position here in the semi. So Coase slowly building his night after a tough start. Now you're watching Ben Lau on the 20 putting pressure on Luker. Man, hard landing off of that jump every time for the number 11.
Always that fine line of wanting to get every position you can get for that starting lineup in the main event. But if you get too strong and you make a mistake, maybe you go down. Takes a chance out of making the main event.
Yeah, those hard landings could prove costly. Also have the 22 of Orr moving up into the picture, as well as Lau tries to get on the inside of Luker. Good racing here, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Can Lau on the 20 find an opening on Luker? Running out of time in this first semi. Drive off the corner is so critical. Even Sipes, who comes from the motocross background, says that's one of the hardest things for him to learn, the throttle control, keeping that bike hooked up out of these slippery corners. Mikey Rush has kept Sipes honest for the majority of this race. He's 1 mistake away from being right there in a battle for the lead, but we are closing in on the checkered flag, and I think Sipes has this under control. Here it is, checkered flag out. Sipes fastest in qualifying. He wins his heat, now he wins his semi, staking his claim for why he should be the favorite for tonight's main event. Battle for transfer positions coming up here. Tanner Dean on the 38 bringing it across on the Honda, and we'll check out the results here in just a moment. Sipes on the Red Bull back KTM. He's going to have a great grid position for the main event, and he says for him it's really all about just getting the start here. Top 8 goes. So Dean, who you saw in the 38, gets the final transfer spot. Stallings and Smith, who have been front runners at various times throughout this series, they are not going to the main event. There's the classic motocross scrub style of Sipes. He's going to the main. Who'll join him? Semi 2 coming up next. American Flat Track, it's the singles class on the TT course from the Illinois State Fairgrounds in Springfield. Jason Wygant, AJ Allmendinger giving you the call. 1 more qualifying race before our main event. It is semifinal number 2, and some big names in this one, including your defending series champ, Dan Bromley, and Jesse Janish, who has been the master of these TT circuits throughout the 2019 season. Here we go. Janish in the 132 on the inside. Will that work for him? Yes, he's going to edge the number 1 of Bromley off of turn 1 and over the jump.
That's what the rest of the field doesn't want to see. Jesse Janish back out to the lead. Can Dan Bromley for Rand Carduce, can they figure out where his speed is coming from? Try to make gains, but we see here, a big moment getting in the last corner here, but Jesse Janish gathers it up onto the front straightaway, already about a 5 bike length lead.
Bromley trying to keep him in check, as well as the Spaniard Carduce, and then Zabala on the number 51 you see here is in 4th. Little scrub action over the jump, some body English for Janish. We've seen that at a couple of races this year.
The lower you can keep the bike over those jumps, the quicker you can get that horsepower down there. Jesse Janish is a master at it.
And now the 41 starting to get into position, Jake Fall. And it's a big battle behind him because only the top 8 of the 16 riders on the grid go to the main event. So you can see how tight it is back there. Those riders are getting desperate for positions.
You can see there in turn one, that shine part of the racetrack is starting to get dried out, which just means it's getting slicker. The riders having to really get on the brakes hard to get the bike stopped, ease onto that throttle off the corners, put the power down.
Well, it's a situation you've been in many times. We started out qualifying in the daytime, and now it's gone tonight. So I'm sure that's going to change the surface and traction.
Yeah, and it really changes the rider's style getting into the corners because you can't be as aggressive. We see Ferran Cardus really backing the bike in there, trying to get the bike pointed straight off this corner. Cole Zabala, huge air off the top of the jump there, looking to get around Cardus for P3.
Yeah, sending it and then almost hitting that hay bale, so he's doing everything he can. And although it's only a qualifier, I cannot stress enough that this is for grid position in the main event. So you can tell Zabala on the 51, he wants every position he can get. He wants to pick third out of this group as opposed to fourth. And you also have the positions coming from our semi number one from earlier. So this is a big gain if he can make a pass. Same thing if you're the second place rider, Bromley trying to get around Janish for the lead.
We see Ferran Cardus, he's really kind of riding the bike in straight, making a diamond over the corner, getting the bike pointed straight off the corner, trying to get as good of a drive off these corners to make these straightaways longer.
Yes, but on the entrance to the corner, that opens the door for Zabala. So every time we get into a turn, Zabala's like, here's my chance, here's my chance. And he goes for it, but not quite able to complete the pass. We go all the way through the field now. Like I said, only the top 8 out of 16 are going to make the main. So it is a furious fight back there. Looking at Matthew Gunther on the 61, trying to hold down 8th. James Rispoli, one of the faster riders out here, has not had luck on his side. He's trying to make up ground and get into the top 8.
All these riders we see right here, these group of riders, panic is setting in. Laps are counting down, 2 to go, trying to make the main.
Up front, a little less drama because Janish has pulled away a bit from Bromley. And it looks like Zabala has lost a little ground on Cardus. So the battle is back here. The 71, Rispoli, he is the one trying to make his way in. Then Dawson Schiffer in the 33 as well. They are 9th and 10th. You have to be in the top 8 or you're not going to the main. And there's only 1 lap to go.
Right here, last lap, James Rispoli running 9th. Got to be aggressive. He needs 1 spot. Can he make it?
Yep, he's a 71. He's trying to get around the 61 of Gunther, and I think he's out of time. Jesse Janish will look over his left shoulder. He knows he has Bromley covered. Could be a phenomenal race tonight between him and Sipes, who won his semi. It's over. Checker flag is out, so these positions were fairly well assured, but it's this final spot. Gunther's trying to make positions. He doesn't have to do it. He just wants insurance as he heads into the main. And he gets the final transfer spot on the 61. Rispoli's so close, but just short of the main event with the 9th. And Janish continues to roll on his Roof Systems of Dallas, Texas Yamaha. Bromley right behind him. There you see Gunther right behind Jake Fell. They take the final 2 spots into the main. Ingerbritsen, who was second at our previous event in California, also going to the main with a 6th place finish. Rispoli just misses. So we're going to talk to Jesse Janish when we return. He's a title contender and always fast when we're on the TTs. Stay with us. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Indian Motorcycle. Be legendary. By Vance & Hines, the presenting sponsor of AFT Twins. And by the Honda Talon, the official sports side-by-side of American Flat Track. Jesse Janish, 2 for 2 on victories on TT tracks this year, Daytona and then the Arizona Super TT. And he also won our last TT of last season. He's been dominant lately. Kristen sat down with him earlier.
Jesse Janish is undefeated when it comes to the TTs in 2019. 2 TTs, 2 wins. I mean, what is clicking for you this year?
Just the whole program. The RUSS Systems Dallas team coming on board. My program kind of changed a lot. I moved down to Texas at the end of last year and then got to do a lot of training and a lot of riding. I think I just came in more prepared than I ever have, and it seems to be paying dividends for results so far.
Something you told me as the year started down in Daytona when we first talked was just that this year you're coming in ready. You started working out, you started losing weight. A lot has changed for you, and it's paying off this year.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have a really great opportunity with making this basically my job, so I had to take full advantage of it. just trying to make sure I'm prepared and going to give my best back to the team and try to get the results that, as good as I can possibly get.
Looking towards tonight's race, obviously a lot of riders have came here over the years and raced this track multiple times. You have a notebook built. You've raced on this bike that you're riding on this track before, but you've never won here before. How can you make that happen?
Starting off good, having a good heat race, good starts, good semis, and putting yourself in a really good position is basically the key to pretty much every national. So I kind of pride myself on getting good starts, so it helps me out a lot. And yeah, just try not to fall behind it all throughout the day and just stay up front and then just see what happens in the main.
Well, the main is coming up in a moment, but first Dunlop tire talk. But in the singles division, everyone is mandated to run the Dunlop R5.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the R5, Jason.
Okay, good choice.
The softer of the two compounds, critical for these singles bikes on this TT racetrack as it gets drier to go out there and find as much grip as possible.
And that should lead to some great racing. So that's Dunlop Tire Talk as we set the field for the main event from the Springfield TT. The singles class points lead could potentially be on the line because Dalton Gauthier, your series leader, not in tonight's main event. Just about ready for our main event from the Illinois State Fairgrounds, the TT in the singles class. But let's get a pre-race report from Kristen Beat.
Ryan Sipes has momentum on the night. He won his heat and his semi, and when I spoke with him earlier in the day, I could sense the frustration in his American Flat Track performance for the 2019 season, but just moments ago, when I spoke with him after that semi win, he said, tonight, I am feeling it. And guys, it's so apparent. Ryan Sipes has put a program together for 2019 that has allowed him to race Supercross, Enduro, GNCC, and of course, American Flat Track. He's proving his versatility, but he is winless this year, and he is hunting a win tonight. This is the first time we've visited a track that Ryan Sipes has already raced. He made his flat track debut here in 2018. He's spent time working with JD Beach this week. JD actually even corrected his corner acceleration problems. And guys, Ryan Sipes looks comfortable tonight. I will be following the Red Bull rider in this main event.
And some other riders to watch besides Sipes, you got Ryan Wells, who won our last race in Southern California on the Estenson Yamaha, moving up in the standings, and Mikey Rush, who was so close to a victory earlier this year in Texas. And all these riders are also thinking of the points. Jesse Janish could maybe even get the points lead tonight if he wins, because Dalton Gauthier, 2 false starts in qualifying, is not on the grid for the main. This is the Russ Brown starting grid. Sipes, the last time I heard him tell me he was feeling it before a race, we were at a Supercross in Hawaii a couple of weeks ago. He won all 3 main events there. So when Sipes is on, he's hard to beat. That's the challenge in front of everyone here at the Springfield TT. Watch the 264 and, of course, the TT specialist, Janish. We're underway. And Janish and Sipes, true to form, battling into turn 1, as well as Dan Bromley, your series champ. Start so critical here. Sipes gets the lead and by low jumping extends it just a little bit.
Battle for position 2 there, Jesse Janish, Dan Bromley. Oh, contact in the back there. Is that Ryan Wells?
Oh, it is! So Wells, the winner of our last race, is now in last place. Boy, we've had some drama already with Gauthier, his problems in qualifying. Wells down, but no such trouble for Ryan Sipes, who's won everything so far and is leading right now. Ooh, Mikey Rush, nice move for 3rd around Bromley.
Top 4 already starting to stretch it out here. We got Sipes, Janish, Mikey Rush into 3rd. Oh, Dan Bromley's got back around him.
All right, so good racing here early in the main. Bromley, consistency is what earned him the championship last year. He's been, Sipes throws it away. Everything was going his way. Now he's got to try to make up ground. Oh, the entire field's getting by.
Sitting here in shock. Ryan Sipes looking so good all day and night. Goes in the last corner and just tosses the victory away.
Unbelievable. I don't know how much ground he can make up. There's plenty of time as far as laps, but here's the mistake.
Strange, he gets in there once, it looks like the back steps out. He gathers it back up, and then it steps out again on him, riding on board with him here.
One more shot of it. It happens so quickly when you see it on board.
You know, Jason, it just, as we talked about, the racetrack starting to get slicker. They redid it before the main event, but it just seemed like Ryan Sipes got in there, expected more grip than there was there, and lost the rear.
Yeah, and he had already opened up a little bit of a gap, so I don't know how aggressive he needed to be in that situation. But again, when you see it on board, you realize these things are all happening within hundredths of a second. That's the difference. Quick decision-making, so it's all fallen in the hands of Jesse Janish, who's trying to make it 3 victories already in 2019. Bromley and the 15 here of Rush, what a battle they've had throughout this main.
Talking about Dalton Gauthier not being in the main event. These 3 riders right here, Jesse Janish, we riding with the Yamaha on board. These 3 riders, Janish, Bromley, and Rush, they have to do everything they can to maximize their points to make up for Dalton Gauthier not being in the main event.
Yes, if you're Gauthier, you're already crushed because the false starts held you out of the main, and then you're seeing your main title contenders up front scoring max points. That hurts even more. Meanwhile, Rush, he keeps trying outsides, insides, everything he can to get Bromley for second.
Mikey Rush starting to see Jesse Janish getting away from him. Knows he's got to get around Bromley. He's got to go to have any chance to win his first main event of the year.
Well, he's going to the inside, and he finally executes the move. We're on board with Bromley on that Red Bull KTM, and as quickly as he gets past, he's trying to get Rush back.
Bromley so smooth on that KTM, but just lacking a couple of tenths.
Well, I was going to ask you, and you've been in this situation, especially on road courses, how hard is it to be patient? You hear how long they're off the throttle, waiting. You just get past. It's got to be so hard not to just nail it. And Bromley's staying close. Let's send it to Kristen for a moment.
Mikey Rush said we've made a lot of progress since Paris. We're running a new exhaust this weekend, and the power delivery is so much better. He said it accelerates faster off the bottom and mid-range, and that is going to help a lot here in the corners. You can see it helping him now as he edges out Dan Bromley.
Yeah, that bottom and mid-range helping the bike hook up. But back to what I was saying, how hard is it to be patient when you have to be? But boy, the guy's right in front of you.
It's tough because you want to do everything you can to maximize your speed. So by doing that, you just want to grab a handful of throttle. But if you do that, you're just going to spin the tires.
Sometimes going slower is the key to going faster. And right now, Janish has been caught by Rush. It's all coming together for the Honda rider in second. Let's see if he can make a bid for the lead with Bromley in hot pursuit in third. Great racing here. Singles main event. It's the Springfield TT. These 3 riders have been in close formation the entire time. The Yamaha of Jesse Janish, the Richie Morris Racing Honda of Mikey Rush, and the Red Bull KTM of Dan Bromley. Rush, once he finally got Bromley, has slowly but surely closed in on your leader.
Yeah. Mikey Rush has been quick all year. He has 1 podium, 3 top 5 finishes, so he's been there. He wants to go out there and get that victory.
And we've mentioned points quite a bit in this show because your points leader, Dalton Gauthier, didn't make the main event. But for Rush, you got to figure when the opportunity for a race victory is there, you're not thinking points. You're just thinking, I want that #1 spot. Good battling back here. The 49 of Chad Coase, who's had a rough go of it through qualifying. He's gotten faster every time he's on the track. He is now battling the Spaniard, Ferran Cardús, inside the top 5. Looking for an opening. Cardús not giving it to him. And time running out. So we're on lap 12 of a 15-lap main event. There's Bromley. He's in no man's land right now. He's ahead of Cardús, but he has lost a little ground to Rush. Coase! Whoa!
Cardús still using that kind of diamond angle. Chad Coase seeing that says, I'm going to stick a nose in there.
Gonna try it again. On the inside every time. Now going from outside to inside. Nice move by Coase.
Coase can't get the power down. Cardús still holding on to 4th.
And you hear the bikes at the absolute rev limiter coming out of these corners. 2 to go. Cardús and Coase still fighting for 4th. Oh, Coase gets a wheel in on him again, but not enough to make the pass. He's able to drop on the entrance to every corner, but Cardús able to beat him off of it and hold on to the spot, back on board with Rush. Is there something he can pull out here with a lap and a half to go? Fresh vision, pulling the tear off. He wants the lead and the win so badly.
4 corners, Mikey Rush is gonna have to find a place. He's gonna have to send it to have a chance to beat Jesse Janish. This is big for Janish. He's won all the TTs so far, going for his 3rd win, but his oval finishes 5th, 6th, 10th. He's got to maximize the points on the TTs. He's doing that right now.
Yes, he is, and I think Rush might be out of time. We're into the last corner. Checkered flag in sight. Janish wins again, and oh, look at the frustration. Mikey Rush, second time this year. He's going to have to settle for a close runner-up position. Good congratulations to each other. Bromley's back to his championship-style form by grabbing a podium in third. Carduce in that great battle with Coast wins it, taking fourth ahead of Zabala, Whale, the Australian. Andrew Luker, who was fast all night, eighth. Interbitson on the podium in our last race is ninth ahead of Ben Lau in the top 10. And Wells, after an early crash, 11th. And Sipes, as he finished 12th. Here's why. It's the Motul move of the race. He goes down, and Janish takes advantage, but also avoids him, which was difficult.
See Ryan Sipes there lose the rear tire. Jesse Janish has to do everything he can to get around the outside of him, avoids him, goes on to take the lead, ultimately hold on to win this race.
Yeah, and there was some serious pressure being applied by Mikey Rush, but Janish wins again, and he's with Kristen Beat.
Huge congratulations. Not only are you undefeated when it comes to the TTs in 2019, but you have now assumed the points lead in the singles class in the American Flat Track Series. For you, this is such a grassroots effort. You come here every weekend, you're working on your own bikes. How rewarding is it to now take this win?
Oh, it's awesome. It's not only rewarding for me, I mean, it's rewarding for the team. RUSS Systems, Dallas, Texas. Man, I tell you what, that was cool. I definitely didn't have anything for Sipes. He had something for me, but you know, to finish first, you must first finish. So just happy I didn't get past there when he went down. Glad, I'm assuming he's okay. And man, that was cool. A good 15 laps, and Mikey was coming a little bit, but we held strong.
What was in the forefront of your mind as you saw Ryan Sipes fall in front of you?
Go to the inside, and I went to the outside. So, I mean, obviously, it's unfortunate when anybody goes down. You definitely don't want to run them over. And the natural reaction is always to just go high. I mean, if I would have went low, I'm assuming I would have had a little better lead. So, yeah, I mean, glad he's okay. Unfortunate for him, but, I mean, good for me.
Long way to go, but you got to celebrate the victories when you get them, and taking the points lead as well. Janish is going to take a victory lap. We'll be right back. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Vance & Hines, the presenting sponsor of AFT Twins. By Roof Systems of Dallas, Texas, the entitlement sponsor of AFT Singles. And by American Flat Tracker Clothing Company. Find your groove at AmericanFlatTracker.com. Sunoco Go the Distance Award standings. We total up all the miles logged so far this year. Rush and Bromley are tied to the exact same mark. If you're Mikey Rush, you're tired of ties, you're tired of close second place finishes, and you're just plain tired after tonight, which was yet another one of those close runner-up rides. He's on the podium now with Kristen.
Mikey, entering Illinois, you're coming off your worst start in the 2019 season, an 11th place finish in Paris. For you tonight, you had told me earlier in the day, it was all about putting that race behind you. Are you satisfied with finishing second tonight?
Definitely, to get back up on the box, I'm really satisfied. We chipped away at the points, gained some points on some people, so that was good. I really wanted to win that race. Just basically ran out of time, but big thanks to RMR Honda, American Honda coming on board, man. My whole team did a fantastic job tonight. The bike was working great. Just everyone I got in my corner, it's great. It's great, and my wife is a big help to my program, and my kids, hi kids at home. Just everyone. I'm really happy to get up on the box, but I really wanted that win, and I think it's coming soon. I'm hungry for it, so.
No doubt about it, but all these consistent rides have put him right in title contention as well. He is third. Gauthier pushed back to second. Janish now the points leader, and never count out Bromley or Wells, who won a lot of races in this championship before, and also former champions. They're in the top 5. Let's send it back to Kristen.
Dan, immediately following that race, despite being on the podium, you told me I was overriding the track a little bit. Can you explain that a bit?
Yeah, I was behind Jesse, and Ryan was out front running great, and I kept trying to push harder to catch Jesse, and every time I pushed a little harder, I seemed to make a little mistake here and there and here and there, and then I heard Mikey, and he got me, and I was like, man, I gotta try harder. And then by trying harder, I was just overriding it, upsetting the chassis, and it just kind of put me behind a little here, a little there, but overall, I'm happy to be back up here on the podium. This is my third of the season, which isn't great, but I'm happy to be back on the podium and gain some points. I know Jesse and Mikey pulled a little on me, but we got some on Dalton, unfortunately, but happy to be back up here, and I can't thank My whole team, Rebel KTM and RUSS Systems of Dallas, Texas, for all they do for me and for everybody coming out here and supporting me. It's amazing to be back out here and amazing to race Springfield TT.
Now the Springfield Mile for the Twins, it's been rescheduled. Now we'll have a doubleheader on Labor Day weekend, so that race will take place Saturday, August 31st. Go to AmericanFlatTrack.com for more information on that. Our next TV show with the Red Mile coming out of Kentucky, Saturday, June 8th at 2 p.m. right here on NBCSN. As for this race, it was wild and a big shakeup in the standings.
Yeah, Dalton Gauthier not scoring any points tonight. Jesse Janish, Mikey Rush scoring a lot of points. Battle tighten back up.
For AJ Allmendinger and Kristen Beat, I'm Jason Weigang. Congrats to Jesse Janish. We'll see you from the Red Mile.